You're listening to the Brian Donahue Podcast, a production of Trekking Jesus, boldly going into the farthest reaches of the galaxy with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Trekking Jesus is an online community for Trekkies who love Jesus to talk all things Trek, their faith, and everything in between. Join me and special guests from around the world as we engage in relevant discussions about Trekking Jesus. Let's get ready to fly and boldly go right now. Hey guys, this is Pastor Brian, and I am super pumped that you've chosen to spend a few minutes with me and my friends, all the other listeners of the Brian Donahue Podcast, and I just want to say that it's a privilege to do this podcast, to get to talk to you, to get to share my heart, to talk about Star Trek and Jesus and all the things that I'm passionate about as a human being, as a pastor, as a father, a husband, and just as a human being myself. This is a beautiful galaxy we're living in, beautiful universe to be alive in, and it's wonderful to be a part of the Star Trek community and the faith community. And I just want to say that my mission is one of peace. My mission is also a challenging one, is I want to talk about hard things. I want to live in liminal spaces and talk about liminal things and still come out on the other side, shaking hands, giving hugs, saying I respect you in what you believe. And I might disagree, but I can respect you and give you dignity as a human being at the end of the day. That's what the Brian Donahue Podcast is all about. We're going to talk a lot of Trek. We're going to talk a lot about Jesus. And whether you love Jesus or Star Trek or both, I hope that you can find something to sink your teeth into and be encouraged by. I'll be right back in just a moment with a very special message. This is the Brian Donahue Podcast. So I'm sitting here tonight recording this podcast from my home office, which is nestled down at the bottom of the basement stairs. Nice carpeted room. I've got Star Trek stuff all around me, but I'm drawn to something in particular tonight that I want to share with you guys as a way to encourage you this week on the podcast. This may or may not get super deep. It's going to be super sentimental. But I'm looking around at all of my Star Trek stuff. I've got novels, I've got action figures. And by the way, if I could collect one thing as a Star Trek fan and that would have just a spectacular collection, it would be action figures. All the different kinds of Star Trek action figures they've ever made, by the way. So, just saying. But I've got the novels, I've got little ships, I've got Pez dispenser, excuse me. Did I mention the books? I've got a lot of the books. I've got stuff all over the walls. I've got my badge, Deep Space Nine magnetic comm badge from... what's the company? Fan Sets, a sponsor of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network, which is a part of the network that the Big Sci-Fi Podcast is a part of course. And I just tell you, I'm sitting here listening, and if I'm being honest, there's there's some Star Wars sprinkled in here and there. You know what I'm saying? But I gotta say, there's something that has caught my eye tonight as I'm sitting here, and honestly, I'm waiting for my daughter's laundry to get completed because she needs it for the morning, and it's later at night than I really would like it to be, but I'm like, I promised her I'd get her laundry done, so I'm gonna be a good dad and try to make that happen for her. But I'm looking around at my stuff, and I've got this game sitting on one of my bottom shelves, and it's called Star Trek Catan. And maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you played it. If you're a Settlers of Catan fan and a Star Trek fan, you need to grab yourself a copy of this Star Trek Catan. It is pretty fabulous. It's a lot of fun. Now, it's only made for 4 players, and there's no extension sets that I know of that would allow you to add more players. But if you and 3 of your friends, or you, your wife, or your husband, another couple, are Star Trek fans and would care to play this game, it is a lot of fun. It has all of the elements of Catan, although it's been Star Trek-erized. It's not a real word, but I just made it up, and I love it. And it's a lot of fun. I've had a few people play it, too, who are not Star Trek fans. They would not call themselves Trekkies, and they enjoyed playing it as well. But the point of this conversation is not just to advertise Star Trek Catan. Hello, makers of Catan games. If you'd like to shoot me something, I'd be more than grateful. But that's not the reason I'm doing this. I want to talk about what happens when you're sitting at a table and you're eating with other people, or you're playing a board game like Star Trek Catan. I've even got a Star Trek Scrabble game down here, which I've only played a handful of times. I need to pull that out. I bet my boy Brody Tiberius would play that with me. But anyways, there's something amazing that happens at a table that doesn't happen as easily in other settings. And I'm thinking ahead to Trek Long Island, which is a Star Trek convention in Long Island, New York. And Hapog, I think, is the name of the actual little town it's in. Fantastic convention. Great guests, celebrities from all over the Star Trek universe there. Great podcasts represented there, including my boys from Captain's Quadrant and the sisters, my sisters, the Sci-Fi sisters are usually there. It's just a blast. There's all kinds of fantastic vendors, authors. Oh my gosh. Just tremendous. I can't name enough. I've made so many friends at this convention and connections within the Star Trek community. It's fantastic. But what really happens and how people really connect is when you're sitting down across from a table, when you're having coffee, having a drink, when you're eating together. It might even be at a vendor's table, for crying out loud, where you are connecting with someone who has made something that has sparked your interest and sparked your imagination. Something happens at tables that is very, very special. And I want to encourage you to use tables more strategically and intentionally in your life. Eat with people. Have coffee with people. Play cards. Play board games with people. Allow your home to be a gathering place, a sanctuary, if you will, of friendship, of gathering, of togetherness, of fellowship, this unity and togetherness that happens when people gather around a table. And just see what type of community you can build in this very simple, ancient setting of a table. I've got some friends who have been wanting to come over to play board games. You know who you are, and I haven't forgotten. But we want to play Star Trek Catan together, and we always have snacks and food, and it's a wonderful time with very good friends. Love playing games. We were on vacation recently. I've spoken of that. Had a night where we gathered around the big dining room table in the house we were staying at to play poker. That's right. The kids all have been learning poker. We played Texas Hold'em. We played 5-card draw. It's fantastic. My son Brody Tiberius loves 5-card draw, and he's becoming a blackjack fan too, by the way. I'm teaching him responsibly, how to play responsibly. Everybody know that, okay? I'm a good dad. So anyways, do it at tables. Fellowship at tables, eat at tables, drink at tables, laugh, smile, learn, listen at tables. Be strategic about it. Be intentional. Maybe intentional is the word I really want to press upon us today. Intentionality around this. Tables break down enemies. Tables disarm. Tables cause people to relax. Because in essence, what you're doing is you're sharing something. When you share a meal, partake in a game together or a conversation, that table is really a buffer. It's really disarming. It puts everybody on the same level, on the same plane. And even if there isn't conformity, which is, who really wants conformity? Only dictators. Only narcissists, only jerks want conformity, right? What we want is true unity, where we can disagree about stuff, but still come together at the end of the day to be friends. We can be respectful to each other and treat each other with dignity, right? And so that's my challenge for us as a community here at the Brian Donahue podcast, and beyond that with Trek in Jesus, is, man, let's be people of the table. Let's bring people to tables. And don't be afraid to sit down with people who look different than you, who vote different than you, think differently than you, live differently than you, and see if you can't strike up a friendship. Listen to each other. Share your stories. Share your lives with each other. And see what happens. It's the fellowship of the table. That was a little cheesy, I know, but it's what I had in the moment, okay? Hey guys, in just a moment I'm going to have a very special guest on the Brian Donahue podcast for everyone's favorite segment. I won't even say it until it's time to say it. Stay tuned, I'll be right back. And thanks once again for listening to the Brian Donahue podcast. I hope you're having a good time already, but I guarantee you're about to have a lot more fun. And that's because I have a very special guest on the show this time. Her name is Carrie, and she is one of the writers with Engage magazine, a Star Trek family magazine. And I am very pleased to have Carrie on our show and to talk about her favorite episode. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Carrie. How you doing, Carrie?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so pleased you're on the show. I'm so pleased you said you'd like to come on the show. It always makes me feel good when people say, "Yeah, I'll come on your show." But anyways, Carrie, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself?
I'm very much a crafter. I'm always doing all kinds of crafts. I'm a
Nice.
member of I'm an associate producer with the Ciroc Lofton's The Seventh Rule podcast. My I put in my little name in the Zoom window. I am the Crafty Bear. I have a big Care Bear collection that I've had for ages. And
Wow,
since I like
really?
to craft, I decided to call myself the Crafty Bear. Oh yeah, I've been a Care Bears fan since I was little.
Wow. My
Got a bunch of
sisters
them.
had those. I remember their heyday. Wow, that's a cool thing to kind of collect and be a fan of.
Yeah, they've been branching out and adding a lot more in the last like 15 years or so. It's been very cool seeing new additions to the Care Bear family.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Carrie, uh I got to tell you, it's burning me up inside waiting to find out what your favorite Star Trek episode of all time is. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the show, your favorite part of the Brian Donahue podcast. Why the heck is this your favorite episode? The portion of our show where we bring in one lucky fan to get their 10 minutes of fame discussing their most favorite Star Trek episode of all time. So, Carrie, go ahead, spill the beans. Tell the world, or whoever listens to this podcast, what your all-time favorite Star Trek episode is and why.
We actually just did a recording for the seventh rule. The episode itself won't come out for a couple of weeks, but it was an episode I've been dying to get to ever since we started reviewing episodes of the Next Generation, and it is Sub Rosa.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yes.
I
I am
wow.
unashamed of how much I love that episode. It's good, cheesy, awesome. I love every second of it.
Okay, okay. Uh wow, I'm speechless for the first time on this podcast with this segment. I am speechless. I want to know why, but also I say cool. Uh maybe you can convince other people to give this episode another shot, because that's one thing I hope happens with this segment is our guests will say, check out this episode, this is my favorite. It might cause other Trekkies to go back and watch them and give them another chance. So make a pitch for why Sub Rosa is your favorite.
I enjoy it just for the fun campiness of it. I'm a sucker for that style of paranormal romance.
Uh-huh.
I love like Phantom of the Opera. I love the Anne Rice's The Mayfair, which is all for kind of similar thing. I'm also a fan of Twilight, which is also another fairly unpopular opinion depending on who you talk to. And I freely admit this episode is not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's cheesy. It's over the top. There are a couple of things that could be changed. I will admit that it's not perfect, but I love it. It's so much fun, and honestly, I find Ronan incredibly sexy.
Okay. Well,
I love the look. I love the hair, the wardrobe. Yeah, his voice. Yeah, all of it.
and in that whole episode was really different for the next gen. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
even the sets were different. I mean, it did
Oh,
have a
I
different
loved
look.
it. I wanted to move into that house.
I really, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. That's
yeah.
how I
My
feel
husband and I
about
live in Scotland.
that's how I feel about Bag End in the Lord of the Rings. I would love to live in Bag End as
Oh,
long as a
sure.
bunch of dwarves don't
100%.
show up eating all my food.
Oh,
I'd be-
absolutely. I would totally hang out in Bag End for sure.
yeah. So Sub Rosa, Next Generation. Was
Yep.
that what season was that? Do you remember? Do you recall that?
Season 7. I can even tell you exactly which one because I still have my notebook here next to me from
Nice. That would have been my guess.
the other
Six
day.
or seven, but I think it's
Yeah,
seven.
season 7, episode 14.
Okay. Oh, was it that late in the season? Okay. Okay.
And it has the distinction of having the second lowest IMDb score of all of the Next Generation episodes, coming in at a 4.8. The only one lower is Shades of Grey, coming in at 3.5.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
The second lowest IMDb score.
Carrie came with the facts, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. That's fantastic. I'm going to have to start paying attention to those scores now with some of the episodes I'm going back to and just see what they say. That is fantastic. So I remember when I'm a Next Generation baby and Trekkie. That's when I gained my Trekkiness, and I remember this episode coming out. And I mean, I was quite a young man at the time, but I wasn't quite into the romance stuff quite yet, even though I was,
sure.
I don't know how old I was back when this episode. I was an older teenager, but having watched it more recently, I have to admit, for someone who has always kind of been hard on that episode, I have to admit, if you accept, I love your word choice, the cheesy campiness of the episode.
Yeah.
You should watch it again if you haven't in a long time. Give it another shot for sure. See what you think now.
Yeah, it's way too much fun, and yeah, I love my husband. I love Scotland, so that house definitely feels very Scottish.
Yeah,
yeah, all the decoration and everything in there. Yeah, it's way too much fun. And if there's a couple of, I love the cemetery. Mm-hmm. And if you watch the episode, there's a couple of graves in the cemetery. One says McFly, and the one next to it says Vader.
That's fantastic.
I love that they just sort of snuck those in.
That is fantastic.
I
Is
enjoy
that
funny
on?
characters like
Do
that.
Do you remember what were they called? The Nitpicker's Guide to the Galaxy, but it was for Star Trek. Did you ever get those
I
books
think
or?
I haven't, but I've one of the podcasts that Star Trek podcasts I listen to has mentioned it a couple of times.
Okay, and I wonder if those graves are in there because that's the type of
It
thing that
probably
they.
is.
I don't have those copies of those books. I had it for Next Gen. I think it was the original series, maybe, and I don't remember if I had it for Deep Space Nine, if they even made one for Deep Space Nine. But it
Yeah,
was so juicy to watch Next Gen with that book in front of me, looking for all the bloopers and the crazy stuff. And I bet that would be in there. I've never paid that close attention to the names on the graves. That is true, Carrie. That is so Trekkie of you to notice something like that on the graves of this episode.
I didn't used to, but watching it more closely as I have for the when we review them for the seventh rule.
Yeah.
You pick up that stuff, and I read all the trivia on IMDb, and I read all of the fun facts that Memory Alpha has for each of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
episodes.
Oh,
And
Memory Alpha is a
you
great
learn
tool.
stuff like that. I enjoy the deep dives into the episodes that
Yeah.
I've been doing.
Well, I tell you what, I bet there are fans of Star Trek The Next Generation who did not like that episode originally, who might just give it another shot. And that would be so awesome. Watch more Star Trek is one of my mottos. So
Oh, sure.
even the stuff you don't think you like, give it another shot and see if it changes your mind. I've done that so many times over the years.
Yeah. And it's
Um,
okay if you still don't like the episode. Not every
Absolutely.
episode is for everybody, and that's okay.
It's totally okay. And I like this episode or this segment of the podcast, Carrie, isn't about my favorite episode. It's not about anyone else's favorite episode but yours. So you bring it, and I appreciate it so much. Carrie, uh uh thanks for coming on the show. I'm just all smiles
Sure.
over here in Northeast Ohio. I am just ecstatic that you surprised me so much with Sub
Yeah.
Rosa.
Yeah. I even
And
had a friend who has a 3D printer printed me one of the a version of the candle.
nice. It looks fantastic. It really
Yeah,
does.
it turned out really great. He did a couple versions of it and sent me all three.
Yeah, yeah,
So I have
yeah.
three candles. It's very cool.
Nice. So, is there anything else you want to share about yourself, or can people? You write for the Engage magazine too. What else? What articles have you written? I'll put the links for that in there. Anything else I should link up for you?
Oh, sure. Yeah, for the magazine, I primarily do limericks for each issue. I started off doing three for the first one, and three just sort of became
Yes.
running theme. And I do also do limericks for each of the episodes of Next Generation for the seventh rule. I end my turn with my limerick for the episode. And
Nice.
the first two seasons, when we were going through those episodes, when I decided to do limericks for it, I knew some of the episodes, especially in the first two seasons, were practically going to write themselves. And for some of
Right.
the episodes, they really kind of did. Yeah, check out the seventh Sirach Lofton's the
Yes.
seventh rule podcast. You've got the first two segments with Ryan Husk and Sirach,
Hmm.
and sometimes a special guest, and then the third segment is the free for all, where myself and a handful of other associate producers hop on and share our thoughts. And yeah, when it come out, yeah, it's when the episode is released for Sub Rosa, yeah, opinions were mostly negative, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Oh,
But that's okay. I knew
yeah.
that going in, that I was probably going to be
Right.
only one that was going to gush over it, and that is
Right.
okay.
Yeah. Totally okay. And come on, guys, we should all be able to get along. Like, come on, let everybody have their favorites and all that good stuff, and have fun with it for crying out loud. So, well, Carrie, thank you for coming on the
Oh, sure.
podcast. We'll have you on. You were so much fun. I want to have you on again sometime.
absolutely.
And we'll talk about other episodes or other films or whatever we decide we want to talk about. So,
Sure.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, the one, the only Carrie, and this has been the Brian Donahue Podcast and your most favorite segment of the Brian Donahue Podcast. Why the heck is this your favorite Star Trek episode of all time? Hey guys, before I sign off for this episode, I want to invite you to rate this podcast on whatever podcast platform you listen on. Rating a podcast, leaving comments, sharing it with your friends, sharing it on your own social media is a great way to help the algorithms all over social media and the internet. We used to call the internet the WWW. Does anyone do that anymore? The World Wide Web? Anyways, neither here nor there. Share it with your friends. If you're having fun, like Carrie and I just did, share that fun with your friends. Like Trekking Jesus on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and join the Discord. That's the best place to talk Star Trek all day long if your heart desires to do that. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time, I'm Pastor Brian. Peace out.